Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Donald Trump's mass deportation policy is now winding its way through the courts, and so far the judges have been brutal to Trump. At a hearing, over 260 Venezuelans deported by the Trump administration to a horrific prison in El Salvador, one of the appellate court judges said Nazis got better treatment than has happened here. More on that in a moment. First, here's legal expert Norm Eisen.
I think history, precedent, the Constitution, and human decency all point in one direction. There's now evidence, in fact, the lawyer for the ACLU, the very capable legal learned, pointed out that many, perhaps most, a majority of these people, the evidence indicates, are not gang members. Anderson, what have we come to as a country? If innocent people are being deported to a dark site in a foreign country without any due process whatsoever, I filed a brief on behalf of almost 24 conservatives who said this is a violation of conservative ideas going back century, limiting government power. So hopefully the court will see it that way. And in either event, it is headed for the Supreme Court.
There are a few stops on the way, though, and a ruling by the D.C. Court of Appeals will be the next step. The Trump administration has insisted that all of the Venezuelan deportees flown out of the United States, and against the orders of District Judge Jeb Boasberg, are members of the notorious Trente Aragua gang. But the lack of any hearings has called that claim into question, and an attorney for one of the men, a professional soccer player named Jersey Barrios, said his client was arrested because of a tattoo that U.S. authorities mistakenly believed was gang-related. The lawyer said his client has never been charged with a crime anywhere.
In a sworn testimony filed yesterday, an attorney for Venezuelan professional soccer player Jersey Barrios, who appeared to be on the list of deportees, says he has no criminal history. According to the attorney, the Department of Homeland Security alleges Barrios has a tattoo that proves he's a gang member. But the attorney says he got the tattoo because it looks like the logo of his favorite soccer team.
Right. U.S. ICE agents allegedly arrested a Venezuelan because of a tattoo that the agents didn't recognize. And now, that professional soccer player, who has never been charged with a crime in his life, is sitting in one of the worst prisons in El Salvador, a place known for torture, horrific hygiene, and rampant disease. During an appellate court hearing this week in Washington, D.C., Judge Patricia Millett expressed shock and horror over the Trump administration deportations. She noted that during World War II, alleged Nazis in the United States were given hearing boards and were subject to established regulations. But now, the alleged members of a Venezuelan criminal gang have been given no such rights.
There were plane loads of people. There were no procedures in place to notify people. Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemy Act than has happened here.
Your Honor, we certainly dispute the Nazi analogy.
People don't go through a trial in this country without getting the gold standard of due process. And that was not happening here. The president has to comply with the Constitution and laws like everybody else.
On that, we certainly agree, Your Honor.
The Justice Department lawyers, while talking to a judge, may agree that President Trump has to comply with the Constitution and laws like everybody else. But Donald Trump has repeatedly shown that he doesn't believe that. And Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi has used incendiary language to describe the judges who are ruling against Trump and in favor of the constitutional requirements for due process.
They're meddling in foreign affairs. They're meddling in our government. And the question should be, why is a judge trying to protect terrorists who have invaded our country over American citizens? You know, TDA is a terrorist organization. They are organized, they have a government structure within them. They are sending money not only throughout this country to each other, but back to Venezuela. They are a terrorist organization, and we are not going to have that in our country. We are going to deport them, and we're going to continue to deport them. We will honor what the court says, but we will appeal.
We will honor the court ruling, says Bondi, but the judges support terrorists. The rhetoric from the Trump administration is nearly as outrageous as the sloppy and unlawful manner of these deportations. And let's be clear, no court or judge, from District Court Judge Jeb Boasberg to the Appellate Court Judge Millett, has said the administration cannot deport migrant criminals. The judges are not saying the policy itself is unconstitutional. They are just saying that the process, the Trump administration actions, need to comply with the constitutional requirements for due process. And that means instead of rounding up over 260 people and deporting them based on their tattoos, the Trump administration must give the deportees a hearing and an opportunity to defend themselves. If the criminal evidence against these deportees is as strong as the Trump administration insists, a hearing will be relatively routine, and each deportation will then move forward. And that may indeed make America safer. But when America abandons our fundamental constitutional principles and can send anybody to a foreign prison just because a U.S. government agent doesn't like that person's name, religion, language, or tattoos, we become a fascist and tyrannical country where nobody is safe. And the cutting of legal corners by the Trump administration is particularly ironic, given how much Donald Trump relied on constitutional protections in his criminal cases to keep himself out of jail. By the way, Donald Trump and his family are now selling out Jesus and trying to make some money with a White House Easter event.
The concept of White House ethics seems to have been completely swept away by this administration. I guess the problem here is that companies are paying for access to a White House event and even to officials and potentially the First Lady, according to our reporting. That seems to be a pathway to corruption.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.